Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Shit's about to get real.
Sounds really creepy.
All right, here we go.
Hare Krishna.
Coming up on Gunter's Universe, episode 42. I am talking life, the universe, and everything with two influential luminaries. The powerful Duncan Trussell from the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast, as well as the enlightened Zach Leary from It's All Happening podcast. So sit back, join our family for a few hours, and enjoy this edifying episode of Gunter's Universe.
VR Chat, the next frontier. These are the experiences from Gunter's universe. His continuing mission, to seek out and connect with VR devs and passionate enthusiasts, to discuss theories, beliefs, and rhetoric of all kind, and to boldly go where no show has ever gone before.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Gunter's Universe. How's everybody doing out there?
Doing well.
Doing
great.
Woo, yeah! Duncan, thank you for coming on the show. How's it going, my friend?
Great. This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm completely blown away by this. It's amazing. I cannot believe that this is happening.
Duncan, what do you think about this? What do you think about VR?
Well, I mean, I think what we're witnessing, one thing, I think VR is the wrong name for it. I think reality is just reality. And calling it virtual reality is a diminution of the thing, I think, somehow, but this isn't quite reality. It's virtual, but that's obviously insane to say that reality has gradients. Reality is just reality. And what we're looking at here is the discovery of a medium that is simultaneously a geography, and that's a real curiosity to think, that what has happened is that humanity has discovered a medium that we can actually burrow inside of and shape while we're inside of it and exist together inside of it. And so it's fascinating that this is this new strata of our universe, or a newly discovered strata of our universe, that we are just learning how to exist within just right now, and also how to tune it in, because this is some transmission from the imagination into imprinting itself into the digital medium, and then after it's imprinted itself, it sort of inflates into a space where we can all gather, and we're just figuring it out right now, which is a really beautiful thing, which is why it's so cool to be here at the very beginning of the thing, as we begin to understand just how powerful this technology is, and the implications of what's happening here, what it's going to look like in 10 or 15 years is astounding. I actually just read this fascinating article about a neurologist who went to, God, I don't know, the FDA wasn't allowing him to work on the neural prosthesis that he wanted to work on, so I don't remember which country he went to, but he had an implant that he had created himself implanted into his brain, and he was hoping to somehow be able to see if he could digitize, I think it was his language, because they want to use this stuff with people who have locked-in syndrome, so that people who are completely paralyzed will have some way to communicate with the world. But of course, that technology that he's experimenting with, it's one of the first times in human history that we've seen this kind of neural prosthesis taking place. And I would say it's a matter of time before we do figure out some way to decode the electrical patterns of the human brain in a way that we can reassemble them in this space and exist in other people's thoughts and consciousness. And of course, what that's going to do for us as a society is, well, it's impossible to say. But to me, what's really interesting about this technology, and I'm sorry, Zach, to use the term artificial intelligence, but I don't know another, computer intelligence, let's say, machine intelligence, what's really interesting to me is the idea of not when the human mind is animated and expanded into virtual space so other people can exist within one person's mind, or merge minds, or fuse all the minds of every person in the planet into some super universe that is downloaded, recorded, and eternally accessible as long as whatever digital medium it's stored on is available. But when you add to it machine intelligence, so that the advanced artificial intelligence that's on the way, no doubt, what happens when it starts constructing universes with some intentionality behind it? What happens then? What kind of dimensions are we going to go into when what is essentially an alien mind begins to construct these kinds of digital hives that we can move inside of? That's something that I'm very interested in too. I think that to finish this weird rant, the other thing about it that I think of is that we also have to look at the fact that every single image, every photograph, every painting, every drawing, anything that exists in digital space is inevitably going to be scanned by computers and translated into a virtual environment that we can go into with all the various phenomena in whatever the picture or painting is, assigned to artificial intelligence and animated. So that means that every picture currently in existence, every painting currently in existence is a portal to another dimension that will open up once technology allows computers to interpolate that data into VR space. And that's pretty trippy. And what a meditation tool. Because if anything can teach mindfulness, it's this experience, which is that here we are in some alternate space, and yet we can clearly feel ourselves in whatever you want to call the reality that we currently exist in, the original reality, world one, whatever you want to call it. You can feel yourself. So here is a great experience of two fields of reality existing at once, which is there is this digital space that we're existing in right now, yet simultaneously we can all feel the three-dimensional physical space that we are existing in. And in the same way, when you go into your physical body again, when we take the goggles off, you can feel the exact identical feeling as though there is some other layer that is just beyond the physical space as well. Do you know what I'm saying? This is like the third projection of something, the human body itself being the second projection, and then the initial state of awareness that seems to be what we all emerge from, according to a lot of different Eastern philosophies, is our primary self. So in this way, in this space, our primary self is our meat bodies. And it's a cool way to kind of understand the concept of mindfulness and to play around with experiencing both realities at once. The strangeness of looking out into this digital landscape while feeling the wooden table in front of me, my physical body. It creates a really interesting convergence of experience, which I think has a lot of utility in teaching mindfulness. I never in my life dreamed that a gingerbread man would ask me if I would consider getting neural interfaces. Like that neurologist who went to some shithole to have his skull opened up to get a neural implant put in because he wanted to see if he could figure out a way for people with locked-in syndrome to communicate with the rest of the world. That's a saint. That's a fucking saint. And he after the surgery, he couldn't talk for a few days. For the rest of his life, he's going to have this little implant in his brain. It sounds horrible. When you look at the parallels, someone was saying this is not Jesus. This is not the coming of Jesus Christ. But when you look at the parallels between what's happening and the idea of the day of judgment, the idea of when all that were dead come back to life, and you consider the concept that any photograph is enough to at least reanimate the person in the photograph. with some generic AI. That's easy. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying that I'm certain that something will be able to scan photographs and at least add basic animation to the photographs, the blink of an eye, a smile, the nodding of a head. And if you can analyze with the Google, what Google's doing right now, certainly you're going to be able to analyze a scene and say, okay, well, there's the grass, there's a dog. We know what grass acts like. In this part of the world, we could actually ascertain what the weather was like on the specific day that the picture was taken. You have all this data incorporated into an image these days. If there's any corollary data, if somebody allowed their location service to be on, then you know the time and the date and the place. So from that you can animate exactly what the weather was like. And then of course, if you could do a facial recognition, and then you can attach that digital image to a person's online social media thumbprint, then you would animate that avatar with some AI based on their personality. The whole point is, Terence McKenna talked about the singularity being possibly the invention of a time machine. Wow, this is the best night of my life.